December 28th. Just took the Elite for a ride. Took these guys for a run. We're getting ready to pull 2 moose out of here. I use spruce branches between the quarters to keep them from sticking together. We had 8 of the quarters in the front, the big freezer. Got all the neck meat and ribs in here. Spruce branches helped a lot. The boys cleaned their skulls up earlier this fall. We are waiting for the wood to dry that we'll be using for the plaques. It was cut on our sawmill Thanksgiving weekend at our cabin. It's New Year's Day. We hauled this meat in, I think, on the 28th, so it's been in here for like 4 days. It's all thawed out. We got it all cleaned up. We got our table somewhat set up here. To help with wasted meat this year, we brought a small chest freezer to our hunting camp so we could put rib and neck meat in it instead of hanging it in a game bag on our meat pole exposed to the air. It definitely helped. There was a lot less trimming that needed to be done. That's 1 rear quarter right there of the good stew meat, and then the burger meat ended up over here. Everybody's doing something. Getting a little closer. Jake can start picking up his pace. All of this year's moose was turned into burger, or it was cut into stew meat and jarred. We take our time when cutting our meat, try to cut all of the silver skin out. This is all the tenderloin and backstrap I cut up and vacuumed earlier in the year. I cooked one of the back straps and it was very tough, so since we don't know which moose is what, we decided we're just going to cut all the tenderloins and back straps and put them in our stew meat. We've got some tenderloins and back straps left over from last year's moose, so while the boys are cutting the meat, the girls are inside prepping the jars for the pressure
Wash your
canner.
jars and your lids with warm, soapy water.
Wash your potatoes and carrots.
Smile.
And then to make life easier, we got a, a French fry press for the potatoes.
Look at it. simple, a lot less cutting, and then we quarter them, depending on the size. Easy. And for carrots, you're gonna cut off the tips, cut off the ends, put them in a pile to make a broth maybe if you wanna save it, and then just chop them. And next up we have our onions. This is obviously the most annoying part of canning because onions make you cry, but pro tip, breathe through your mouth. It works. And we also put 1 clove of garlic in every jar. Happy peeling. And then, now that we've got everything prepped and cut, we take a giant tablespoon and put a little bit of everything in each jar. We're filling up our veggie jars with our moose meat. Good job, Miranda, good job. And then next, after we've added everything, so we've got our meat, we've got carrots, onion, potato, we also add pepper and thyme to taste to every single jar. Yeah. Okay, and then we also, instead of buying like jugs of beef, we bought some Better Than Bouillon beef base. Just follow directions on the jar. It's like a pasty substance. You just put it in hot water, boil it, and then we pitcher it up and pour it into the jars. Oh, that's good, yeah. And then when you're filling it up, you're only gonna fill it up to that bottom lip of the jar. Okay, and then before we put our lids on, we take a cloth with just some good old-fashioned vinegar on it, and we clean off the lids to get any water. It helps to make sure we get a really good seal for the canning process. And also, so during this process, we just found a jar that's got little chips along the edge. You can kind of feel them when you're wiping. You can't really see them with the eye. You can, but you can't. So this jar is no-go. This might be one we recycled. I don't think this is one we just bought fresh from the store. But yeah, so this one's a no-go. But the food inside is still good, so maybe we'll just boil this up for lunch while we're waiting on the canning to finish. Now we are applying our lids. And if you want to show them, it's just a silver lid with a little rubber orange on the bottom. Comes with every jar. And then we're putting on the bands. You're gonna screw them on, but then you're also gonna take off, unscrew it a little bit.
We gotta grind up the rest of that tomorrow. All these cans are loaded with stew or just straight meat in some of them. Got some pork and beef fat there for our burger. We got a lot of the burger already ground. We're loading the pressure cooker up. Our first batch. We're able to get 28 quarts per row. I'll put that down. Now we're going to put a row of pints in there. Should be able to get 3 rows of pints in there. We're able to get 41 pints per row.
Loading the cans into our homemade pressure cooker. This will hold how many jars? How many pints?
123 pints.
This will hold 123 pints
28 quarts.
and 28 quarts of canned goodies. And we're almost up to the top.
It's been going for about 10 minutes. So we finally got it up to pressure with steam coming out. It's holding. We started the timer when it hit 13. Probably be able to shut that off. I had to let that run a lot longer than I thought I was gonna. We're 2 hours in. There's a lot of meat in there that had to warm up. We cook our red meat at 13 psi for 90 minutes. Before you can your meat, you should research this for yourself because cooking pressures vary depending on your elevation. Doing 10% pork fat for pre-made patty burgers. That's about what we're looking for. This is our 10% pork fat. Only ran through the grinder one time. Gently press them. We don't press them super hard. The first year we did it, they were way too dense. Could barely get them to cook on the barbecue. And we also ground it like 3 times total, I think. They go into the, redo it again, you can cut it off. Here we are mixing 10% beef fat with our burger for normal burger. We have found less grinding is better. We used to run our meat and fat through the grinder a total of 3 times. Now we do it twice with the more
Got
coarse
the burger
adapter.
meat ready. Now we're getting ready to pack it in the packages.
It sounds like it's like one of those big crates. Yeah, they're still cooking.
Ta-da!
Come on, dogs, get over here. Over here.
Big ones first.
Which one was it? Here, we're bleeding the pressure off the canner from our second batch. So this is what we ended up with from our 2020 moose hunt. We got to use the new canner I built this summer for the second time. First time with red meat. We made our moose stew, which we really liked last year, so we decided to do a lot more this year. We ended up with 139 pints and 67 quarts total. In one load, we were able to do 123 pints and 28 quarts. So we were able to do this in 2 batches. It took us about 3 hours per batch, and it worked awesome. We ended up with 80 pounds of pressed burger patties. So when we go camping this summer, we don't have to pre-make them. They're already done, ready to go. And we ended up with 130 pounds of burger in bags. The tenderloin and back straps were tough on one of the moose. We just ended up putting them in as stew meat. And we ended up giving away about 3/4 of a moose to someone that could use it. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. We're working on the video of our 2020 moose hunt.